close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways.
Explorers, adventurers, scientists, the ones who always broadened our horizons. We were at their side when they reached the deepest point in the oceans, the highest summits of the Earth, and both poles. We may think we've seen it all, that the world has its limits after all. But why do explorers, adventurers, scientists continue to venture out there again and again? Certainly not just for the record. So what do they seek, really? To understand more intimately how complex and delicate our planet is, to document its change and how we can affect it for the better. As long as they need it, we will be at their side. Because today, the real discovery is not so much about finding new lands, it's about looking with new eyes at the marvels of our planet, rekindling our sense of wonder and acting here and now to preserve this pale blue dot and make it perpetual.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start the evening here. We'll give a few more seconds, just a little housekeeping note before we get started. Those of you wearing a pink wristband, when the program finishes, stay seated. We're going to go right into the next program. Those of you that aren't having a pink wristband for the next program, you feel free to go ahead and head on out. But I wanted to welcome everybody to the third night of World Oceans Week at the Explorers Club. I don't know how many of you were here last night, but for those of you that weren't, a little bit of a review. First of all, we had in the early session, the worldwide WOW welcome, where we had simultaneously Oceans Week celebrations in Milan, Italy, in Mexico City, in Canada, and Capitol Hill Oceans Week in Chow. And we had 4 of them all on the screen at one time and got things kicked off around the globe. We had a wonderful presentation with Sylvia and David Gruber. We learned about a wide variety of their opinions on the oceans, but especially we talked about speaking with whales, which was some really interesting dynamics going on with the research that David Gruber and his SETI organization have been doing. First ambassador hour here, the year, we have 3 ambassadors. We have oysters, we have foraminifera, and tonight we have sea turtles. And for that, we have Callie Veelenturf. I think most of you know Callie. A little background for those of you that don't. She's a fellow in the club 2018. This year, she was voted New Explorer of the Year by the Explorers Club. She's been a Phil Stevenson grantee and a Rolex grant recipient as well. So one of the things we've also been doing with the ambassadors species is we've also been coordinating some educational components to it. And if you noticed walking in the club, there was the large turtle out there, constructed by students, most of them seated right here from the Harbor School, out of found materials that washed up on shore. And if you hadn't taken time to look at it, go outside on the way out, take a look. It's really good. Outside on the terrace is really a feat of engineering and transportation logistics. It is a collection of nets, some just discarded, some found, that have been placed all over the terrace. And if you notice, they will go in temperament from pessimism to optimism. And for Tiffany and for Nikki, and for Mark, I don't know, Mark, are you here? I don't think so. But Tiffany, Nikki, can you stand up? Just give a little wave, a little hooty hoot. Here you go. There you go. Job well done. And for those of you that want to know how you measure nets, it took 3 trips in someone's Subaru. So we now know what a Subaru full of net is, and that's now the unit of measure that we go by. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead, and without any further delay, I'd like to bring Ms. Callie Veelenturf to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome to Sea Turtle Ambassador Hour of World Oceans Week. So excited to have you here. For those of you that don't know me, again, my name is Callie Veelenturf. I'm a marine conservation biologist, sea turtle nerd, Nat Geo explorer, and the founder of the Leatherback Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the conservation of leatherback sea turtles and other threatened and endangered species in their habitats with which they share the blue planet. We have so much to talk about tonight, and before we get going, I just want to make sure I thank all of these people, our team on the ground that makes all of this work possible, our donors, collaborators, and sponsors, without which we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Sea turtles, as an ambassador, is actually a theme that we will be touching on here tonight, and is one of the major reasons that I love working with sea turtles so much. As sea turtles are affected in very tangible ways by the other major threats affecting the ocean as a whole, such as plastic pollution, climate change, fisheries bycatch, unsustainable fisheries practices, and habitat destruction, we can use their plight. We can use their charismatic story, much like the sperm whales that we heard about last night from David and Sylvia, to inspire action and change for ocean ecosystems as a whole, inspiring an empathetic shift in the way that society views non-human life that could spark a new wave of action for the planet. For me, the leatherback sea turtle has always been a symbol of both the general biodiversity crisis and the ocean. The largest one ever found was 2.8 meters long, or over 9 feet in length, and 900 kilograms, or almost 2,000 pounds in weight. These massive sea turtles, the second largest reptile in the world, have been around for 110 million years. 110 million years. They're what we call living fossils. We know that the dinosaurs went extinct about 65 million years ago, which means that the leatherback turtles coexisted with the dinosaurs for about 45 million years. They survived the fifth mass extinction, where it's estimated that about 75% of all species went extinct, and they're only now being threatened with local extinctions themselves around the globe due to consistent pressures from the human race. Leatherback turtles bridge the gap between the land and the sea, as they spend much of their life on the high seas, making these great oceanic migrations in between continents and in pelagic environments outside the exclusive economic zones of the countries of the world. But then they still need to enter the coastal waters to forage and emerge on coastal beaches to lay their eggs. There are 7 subpopulations of leatherback turtles that can be found in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Their great oceanic migrations are a powerful testament to the fact that nature knows no country boundaries. Nature knows no country boundaries. Due to their global movements, marine turtles like the leatherback require international conservation measures to be fully protected. These international conservation measures mean that they also require international teams and heroes across coastlines to study, protect, and be their voice. You're going to hear from various colleagues and friends tonight about the specific ways in which these threats are affecting turtles and the things that each one of us can do about it. The concept of being a voice for the ocean has taken on a deeper meaning in recent years, and it's something that Sylvia and David spoke about last night, and it's something that I mentioned yesterday during our flag return as well. We can all be stronger voices for nature. And for those of us in this room, those of us that understand and feel the urgency to protect the ocean already, we have that responsibility, the duty to do that. This is the Explorers Club, and we're in a new age of exploration. We're not just about climbing the tallest peak and reaching the bottom of the ocean. We're about exploring new ways of doing things, questioning the status quo, and being open-minded about the endless possibilities that exploring this planet truly means. We have to push the boundaries of what we think is possible and think outside the box. The ocean is facing unprecedented threats, and we're running out of time, which means that we must think bigger and act much faster. I know that we hear these types of general calls to action often, which is why myself and our team are proposing a tangible solution. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but it can certainly be adapted to work uniquely in different communities, countries, and corporations. It's a mindset shift, a framework shift, from anthropocentric perspectives to an ecocentric perspective. We're talking about the intrinsic rights of nature, or in an ocean context, ocean rights. Today, we would like to share with you how we are exploring novel ways to protect the ocean by taking a rights-based approach. Many of you know the story of how I became empowered to propose a new law recognizing the rights of nature in Panama after having a personal experience in defending my own rights within the California legal system. Panama's National Rights of Nature law was passed 2 years after its proposal in 2022, and there are now several examples of implementation already. Thanks to our collaborative work with the Earth Law Center, the government of Panama, nature now has a long list of rights in Panama, including the right to exist, persist, regenerate her vital cycles, the right to be regenerated, and even the right to representation in court. Sea turtles specifically also now have a long list of rights in Panama, including the right to have safe passage in coastal waters and nesting sites, an environment safe from entanglement in gill nets, plastic pollution, and unregulated coastal development. This emerging conservation strategy is different from traditional environmental law. As rights of nature expert Natalia Green from Ecuador says, current environmental law tells us how much we can harm nature. It doesn't actually tell us how to protect nature. Existing environmental conservation frameworks are obviously not working on the sizable scale that they need to protect marine biodiversity from continued devastating declines. Most of our current environmental laws simply put a report, a timeline, or a price in the way of continued long-term destruction of the oceans and coastal habitat. And that's why the rights of nature framework is different, because it considers the needs of the planet's ecosystems first, to inform how society can fit within those needs to maintain healthy ocean ecosystem functioning and healthy biodiversity populations. It legally requires people, corporations, and governments to include the intrinsic needs and rights of ecosystems in all levels of decision making. It's time to recognize the rights of the ocean. At World Oceans Week 2 years ago, I led a panel called Ocean Rights 101, and now we're back, not to necessarily share some of the cleanest success stories that we've had so far, as I spoke about those here on Earth Day, but to talk about some of the fights that we're currently fighting and how sea turtles and their plight can be highlighted, just like many of the other iconic species and ecosystems, to push the needle and inspire waves of tangible and enforceable change. Please look for the themes of art, technology, indigenous leadership, stewardship, and worldviews, advocacy, science, and storytelling tonight. We're going to touch on a lot of these themes, but they are, and we are, all connected by our shared sense of urgency to make a difference for the ocean. Only through working together across multiple different disciplines will we make a difference. To get us started, I would like to share with you the Leatherback Project's UNDP Ocean Innovation Challenge winning project that's underway right now in Manta, Ecuador, and how it connects to the Terrace exhibition. It's called Iluminar el Mar, which in Spanish translates to illuminate the ocean. It's much more romantic in Spanish than English. So just to put things in context, leatherback sea turtles are a keystone species, which means that they play a really important role in healthy ocean ecosystem functioning. They can eat their weight, so up to 2,000 pounds, in jellyfish every single day. And jellyfish consume juvenile fish and fish larvae. So when we have healthy leatherback sea turtle populations in an ocean ecosystem, they act as a natural control on jellyfish blooming events, which then supports healthy fish stocks for coastal communities. So in this sense, leatherback turtles can be a fisherman's best friend. And this is why in 2019, I founded the Leatherback Project, because I realized that a lot of the sea turtle conservation organizations were working with turtles on nesting beaches where you can easily interact with them. And I realized that to combat some of the major threats facing turtles, I needed to work more with fishermen than with turtles. So to put this into perspective, there used to be a population of about 35,000 leatherback sea turtles in the East Pacific, from Mexico to Chile, foraging, migrating, and nesting. And now we're looking at a population of about 600 individuals, which represents a decline of more than 98% in just the past 30 years. The major threat affecting leatherback turtles around the world is fisheries bycatch, or the accidental entanglement of these species in gill nets throughout the East Pacific. Sea turtles can only hold their breath for about an hour and a half, whereas a lot of gill nets can be placed anywhere from 12 to 24 hours at a time. So what we're looking at is just an alarming amount of drowning sea turtles in the Southeast Pacific. This is a really important paper that brought me to Ecuador in the first place in 2019. So here what you're looking at is Ecuador on the left, Peru in the center, and Chile on the right. The size of the circle at each one of these fishing ports indicates the magnitude of the number of sea turtles that are getting caught in artisanal gill nets each year in each country. The largest circle indicates 3,750 turtles per year per port. And as you can see in Ecuador, we have the largest number of sea turtles that are getting caught per year in each one of these ports, and it represents a total of about 87% of the sea turtles that are getting caught in the Southeast Pacific are occurring in Ecuador alone, and that can equate to over 40,000 turtles per year. And so that's why I created the organization, to see what can I possibly do about this. And so because I felt like I had nothing to lose, I submitted an idea to the UNDP Ocean Innovation Challenge for this project, Iluminar el Mar, which was set to test an innovative solution with the government, with the local communities, to see if there was something that we could collectively do about this. This is our field team, Ecopacifico, Mare Nostrum, and the Leatherback Project. And what we proposed to do was to test the use of green LED lights. So green LED lights have been shown to be effective in reducing sea turtle bycatch without significantly affecting target fish catch in many countries around the world, such as Ghana, Pakistan, Indonesia, Peru, and even Mexico. The lights are pretty easy to use and be maintained, so they require like minimal investment from the fishermen just to put them on the nets. And they've been shown to decrease the bycatch of these different species groups by this percent. So sea turtles up to 93%, seabirds 84%, elasmobranchs, so sharks and rays 95%, and cetaceans or whales and dolphins 71%, without significantly affecting the target catch of the fishermen. So it's a very simple solution, but it has not been implemented in any country. And so our project was innovative not necessarily because it was testing something new, but because we had this model of trying to test it and implement it together, while we're bringing together all of the different stakeholders in the process. We didn't want to just do science. We wanted to make a difference. And the reason why this works is because sea turtle species, as well as the other different species groups, they have literal differences in the physiology of their eyes and visual capability differences. So they see different wavelengths of light than the bony fish species like mahi-mahi, tuna, and swordfish that are the objective catch of the fisheries. So by putting the lights on the net, we're making the fishery more selective and allowing endangered species like sea turtles to see that the net is there and avoid becoming entangled. So this is an example of one of the lights. One of the versions that we're working with, it turns on when it's wet and shuts off when it's dry. And this is important because there's a lot of piracy right now in coastal Ecuadorian waters. So the fishermen, part of their concern in being involved in the project is making sure that the lights don't illuminate them to the pirates that are around. So this was a really important feature in the technology that we were using. Our experimental design looks something like this, where we're working mostly with 8 vessels, and half of their gill net is covered with the lights every 16 meters. And then there's a buffer, and the other half of their gill net is normal, control. 8 vessels, lights every 16 to 15 meters, 8 months, lights on half of the gill nets. And the idea was that at the end of this trial, we would be able to understand how the lights are affecting the fishery and the endangered marine species. This is just a more detailed version of what this looks like. So the lights have a pretty large radiance. We're placing them 10 meters deep in the middle of the gill net. And this is just, again, to make sure that the light isn't illuminating the entire gill net and drawing attention to the fishermen while they're working, so that there's no security risks with being involved in the project. And this isn't just about turtles. The work we're doing is hopefully going to be decreasing the bycatch of many other endangered and threatened species like hammerhead sharks, dolphins, whales, and manta and mobula rays. So here's just a montage of many different videos that the fishermen themselves have actually taken as part of the project and disentangling the different endangered species that they're encountering. I think one of my favorite parts of this project has been seeing the way that the fishermen have actually become empowered and inspired to be stewards of the ocean. I think lots of times within Latin American countries, fishermen can be seen as the villains in ocean conservation, and we're giving them an opportunity to really be the heroes and sharing something that they can do, something that they might be interested in doing, just participating in a trial to see how it works for them. And the innovative part of our project is that before we did the science trials, we did a socioeconomic evaluation within the whole fishing community. So we understood what their needs are, how bycatch affects them economically, what it would cost to implement the lights within their vessels, if this is possible for them, and asked, if they would be interested in participating. Then at the end of the trials, what we're doing right now, we're still kind of wrapping up this project, is we're doing a second set of surveys with the fishermen that participated to understand more about what their experience was like, if they would like to participate, what they would need to participate, would they need government subsidies, would they need outside subsidies, would they be interested in investing in the lights themselves, kind of asking all of these questions to see, okay, how can we take this science pilot and turn it into an implementation plan for the lights for fishermen that are interested. And the idea isn't to have like a top-down government mandated use of the lights, but rather like a bottom-up interest-based movement where fishermen that want to use the lights have support to do so. And then hopefully the project will grow based on positive reinforcement and the positive experience of the fishermen. But it's going to be fisherman-driven. And another interesting thing about this project, tying in rights of nature, is that Ecuador was the first country in the world to recognize the rights of nature on a national level. It was written into their constitution reform in 2008. And this is really important because endangered species in Ecuador have the intrinsic right to exist. And so if Ecuador is responsible for 87% of the fisheries bycatch, the major threat to the leatherback turtle that is causing their local extinction, that's technically against Ecuador's constitution. And they haven't necessarily done anything about it yet because there haven't been tangible solutions that can be implemented. And so what we're hoping to do here is propose a tangible solution that can be implemented and offer support and guidance and kind of inspire them to do so in the name of the rights of nature law that they have, recognizing the right of these threatened and endangered species to exist within the region and understanding the role that Ecuador has in making that happen and making these species be available for future generations and for the intrinsic rights that they have to continue existing and persisting. And this is just a snapshot of some of the one-on-one surveys that we're doing. We're making sure that we're interacting with the fishermen on a one-on-one basis, talking with the captains, the boat owners, the sellers, the fishermen themselves, every component of the job of fishing, to make sure that we get a really full understanding of how the use of this light is affecting the fishing ecosystem, if you will. And we're conducting these types of large workshops and discussions just to really provide a space to listen. We're not just sharing and telling and teaching. We're mostly listening and understanding and trying to work together to come up with creative solutions forward. And now I would like to invite up to the stage Tiffany Duong, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. She's someone that has been with me in the ups and downs of our work for the past 6 years. And I'm excited for her to share what you're going to be seeing out at the terrace if you haven't seen it yet.
Hey everyone, thanks Callie for that introduction. She asked me to introduce myself because it's kind of hard to quantify what exactly I do in the ocean space. My name is Tiffany Duong and I am an explorer, a writer. I also design VR video games based on expeditions, and I help bring investments into the ocean space that might help build a better future. I usually tell people if it's cool, fun, or weird, I've either tried it, written about it, or plan to try it next. So when I was in the field with Callie in Panama in 2020, she told me about Iluminar el Mar, the project she just highlighted, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. This dark light motif, I could see something, and I started brewing something, and I sketched in my expedition notebook the plans that eventually became what you will see on the terrace. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the Explorers Club and the Harbor School and Jenny Marketu, a artist, for helping to bring that vision to life. We created 2 art installations this year for World Oceans Week to amplify the work that Callie and her team around the world are doing. The first is the trash turtle you see when you enter. As everyone was saying, it's made of marine debris that the kids from the Harbor School found, as well as diverted from their lunchrooms. It also includes upcycled boat vinyl from the Florida Keys, nets from NOAA in San Diego, and commercial fishing nets from Boston. So it's a global trash turtle, just like sea turtles live in all waters, and just like there's pollution in every water. It's really telling that global story. The Iluminar el Mar project is highlighted through Hanging Hope, which is the installation that is on the terrace. We invite you to take a walk through and read some of the infographics that are placed out there that explain the connection between the art piece and the work that Callie's doing, and to really take a moment to do that empathetic shift that she mentioned, right? If you walk through the door at the library, you will enter the less hopeful area, the despair area, the bar area, where there are no lights, right? And you will see lots of tattered nets hanging down from the ceiling, accosting you. When you're there, I invite you to imagine that you are a sea turtle or a shark or a bird that is trapped and suffocating and scared, right? That's, the feeling is meant to be scary, like that. And so take a moment and look at the imagery there, right? We've got a selection of amazing images to bring that feeling forward. as you move through the bar, you go into the hope area where the nets become whole and you see all the green dangling lights. You can feel free to touch them. We'll have some on the tables that you can actually interface with too. They're the same lights that they use in the field. So you can really see that it's a simple technology. She got them off Amazon, like everything else these days, and they work. So the lights bring you into the hopeful area. The images change to ones of freestanding, free-swimming turtles, and there's no more holes in the nets. So I am so thrilled to introduce you next to students from the Harbor School who helped bring both projects to light. Harbor School, if people don't know, and for the people at home, is a public high school on Governor's Island here in New York that focuses on preparing students for marine careers and college. And in all my work with them, I have been so impressed by the real life skills and knowledge that they have within the marine space. So I'm really excited to bring them up.
Hi, my name's Ryan. I'm from New York Harbor School, and I'm with the Marine Affairs program. Lately, we've been learning a lot about fisheries, and a big part of fisheries is bycatch. Bycatch is when fishermen sometimes catch and discard animals they do not want, cannot sell, or are not allowed to keep. Bycatch includes animals such as dolphins, whales, sea turtles, and seabirds that become hooked or entangled in fishing gear. Bycatch harms ecosystems because once the animal is considered bycatch, it's already dead. Working with stakeholders such as the Leatherback Project can reduce such bycatch. In addition, as a consumer, you can be aware of what fish you are buying. Such resources are Marine Stewardship Council, or MSC, turtles, and turtle safe logos. These are considered seafood watch tools to become more aware when you are purchasing your fish for consumption. This shifts your thinking and aids you to spread the word.
Good afternoon. My name is Juan Villavicencio, and I am attending the Harbor School, and I'm also a part of the Marine Affairs program. Sustainability is one of the main focuses we have at the Harbor School, and it takes different forms, like having little fishery programs, and to release fishes into the harbor, and collecting trash that we might find along the way. Sustainability is also really important in my program because we really focus on the urban farming area of it by really tending to the soil, which really has a direct impact on water, on the water in the harbor, because if it has too much nutrients, it affects the water quality by a lot, affecting the animals living inside it. And I'm also a part of the fishing program, which is kind of disconnected from the Marine Affairs program. And while I was there, I could barely see into the water because it's really cloudy. And that really got me kind of messed up and confused, because I really, really thought that being really close to the water meant I could see fishes, but that really wasn't the point. That really I couldn't see fishes. I love fishes personally and wildlife, so it kind of makes me sad knowing that there are some people who willingly, or not willingly all the time, put their waste in the wrong place. directly affecting these animals.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Sullivan. I'm part of the Marine Biology Research Program at the New York Harbor School, and we started working on this trash turtle project in about mid-April, and we went and worked on it for about 1 day a week. So, as you can imagine, a little bit of a crunch at the end, but so working on this project has made plastic waste much more tangible to me as a student. A lot of the waste has come from the harbor, which is something that we as students see every day on our ferry ride to school. And just like seeing the volume really puts it into perspective. So part of the trash on the turtle we featured directly impacts turtles. Like the line that's featured on multiple parts, it's entanglement, and that kills hundreds of thousands of multiple species of marine animals, including turtles. And the plastic bags on the flippers look like jellyfish, which are, as Callie mentioned, a prime prey source for leatherback sea turtles. And consuming that plastic can often lead to them dying, which is something that we really don't want. And as Tiffany mentioned, the waste comes from all across the eastern seaboard and San Diego, which really exemplifies how this is a global issue and puts into perspective how much humans have done to harm our environment. And doing this project has helped me and my fellow students understand how to be better stewards and how to show lay people how to help the environment and what we can do to make the world better.
Okay, hi, my name is Olivia Eliseo. I'm a senior at the New York Harbor School. I work with both the Marine Biology Research Program, Harbor Seals, and the Sustainability Program at my school, so I understand where a lot of our everyday waste ends up. Both programs meet for about 30 weeks, once a week each school year, so that's not a lot of time. Both programs divert waste from our food scraps that we sort out of our lunchroom and the rocky shoreline that surrounds our school. The Harbor Seals diverts about 1,000 pounds each year, and the sustainability program diverts around, I want to say 30 pounds each week out of our food scraps. This is a lot of what's featured on our turtles, especially plastic bags, plastic bottles, plastic cups. So eliminating the use of single-use plastics can promote our environment, not only in our food system, so promoting the health of our compost, but also our waterways, which promotes the health of its inhabitants, so marine organisms like sea turtles, but also the people like us who live in New York City and live around it. So, yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josiah Taylor. I'm a senior at the New York Harbor School and the head of the communications team for the Harbor Seals. Now, Harbor Seals is a student-led civic science group. No, student-led marine civic science group. Try saying that 5 times fast. And what we do is we go out into the rocks and we pick up debris with the intentions of bringing back the true Harbor Seals so that they can bask on the rocks, which they did way back when. But as of now, that is our goal. And being in Harbor Seals, you learn a lot of important skills. Since I'm in the communications team, I've learned stuff like writing grants, writing emails to stakeholders. You also learn leadership skills, data management skills, people skills. And like my peers, the reason why I think this is important to learn is because we essentially are the future, and I think learning these skills at a young age is what will essentially help us in the future, because by that time, I don't know if you guys consider us young, but learning these at a young age will yeah, it'll become second nature and will be great. So my last point was that, hold on, I'm blanking. Yeah, my last point was that, so the reason why I think this is important as a member of Harbor Seals, and why I think the sustainability kids can agree with me on this, is that we want to create an environment that is not only one that we as humanity can survive in, but one that we can thrive in, and the same goes for our wonderful organisms that we live alongside.
Thank you so much, Harbor School team, for all of your work and contributing to World Oceans Week here, for putting together that amazing trash turtle out front, and for really drawing attention to the threat that plastic pollution faces for sea turtles. I really appreciate all of your effort. I know it's taken you a long time, so thank you. So those of you that were at the flag return yesterday, you'll see some familiar images, but we're hoping to dive deeper and hear from 3 of our local field team that are here with us tonight. I'm incredibly excited to share a bit more about an expedition that brought together 4 sea turtle biologists from different countries, 3 coastal communities across 2 countries, all fighting to protect the endangered leatherback sea turtle in the Atlantic from impending devastating development. Our most recent flag expedition took place in the Darien Gap on the border between Panama and Colombia across 3 nesting sites in both countries. And back in 2020, my colleague, Carla Barrientos-Munoz, who is here tonight, she spoke to me about highly understudied leatherback sea turtle nesting sites on either side of the Gulf of Urabá here. And based on what we understand regarding sea turtle nesting ecology, we hypothesized that the turtles would be moving in between the nesting sites throughout the nesting season. And this would cause perpendicular sea turtle movements to these 3 port develop proposed projects that are likely to take place in the southeast part of Gulf of Urabá. This really alarmed me, the fact that we have these endangered turtles here and this proposed port development project with no environmental impact statement. And I think it's been an issue that has been eating at both Carl and I for several years. We just had to figure out, what are we going to do about this? We decided we were going to follow the tracks, the hypothesized tracks of the sea turtles, from Armilla, where the sea turtles are sacred, which you'll hear a lot more about in a moment, to Necoclí, a wild and beautiful place that is largely dominated by illegal armed military groups, the same groups that are leading this proposed port development. And then we traveled to Acandí, an Afro-descendant sovereign territory where the local people just proposed an expansion of their marine protected area from their town all the way to the border with Panama. It was really important to us to work with these local conservationist heroes in our eyes to deploy these satellite transmitters. These are GPS tags that transmit the turtle's location multiple times a day. We've deployed 24 so far, 13 this year, 11 last year, and our data is astounding. We're showing a high density of movements in the Gulf of Urabá, directly in line with where the ports are proposed to be built. We've shown migrations from the Darien Gap heading towards Canada and into the Gulf of Mexico. And this data is also showing us, based on how Wiggy and Lise, who I'll introduce you to in a moment, are from Panama, my colleague Carla is from Colombia, and I'm from the United States, how the turtles connect us all. Here you can see each color is a different turtle, and each point is a place where the turtle came to the surface to take a breath and the tag transmitted. And if we zoom in, you can just see in even greater detail the density of the use in this Gulf where the 3 ports are proposed to be built. This is not just an issue for the biocultural rights of the Guna people, who view the leatherback sea turtle as their direct ancestor, and the rights of the Afro-descendant communities that have been working with the turtles for generations, but it's also an issue for the rights of nature. The turtles have the intrinsic right to use this habitat, especially in Panama, so the border between Panama and Colombia is here. The turtles on the Panamanian side of the border now have their national rights recognized to exist, to persist, to nest in their habitats, to be restored. And so it's becoming a bilateral issue where, like, will the government of Panama intervene on behalf of the Guna people, on behalf of the turtles and their rights? Will we be able to empower them to speak to the government of Colombia on the turtle and the Guna people's behalf? Also here, this is the outflow of Rio Atrato. Colombia also has rights of nature precedent with several ecosystems that have been given personhood rights, which is a little different than the rights of nature. It's basically saying we're not necessarily recognizing the right of a turtle in the sense that it has the right to eat jellyfish, which is very specific to a turtle, but we're bestowing personhood rights. So we're bestowing the same rights that citizens, humans have within Colombia to an ecosystem or to a species. And that's been done to Rio Atrato here. Sorry. to Rio Atrato here. And so another question that we have is, where does the river end and the ocean begin? How can we define the limitations of this right of the Rio Atrato that the government has supposedly already recognized? And so we're working right now on drafting a letter to both governments, the Ministry of the Environment of Panama, the Ministry of the Environment of Colombia, and asking for a closed meeting with both governments to be held at the Convention on Biological Diversity, COP16 in Cali, Colombia at the end of October. We're going to be presenting these data sets with anyone from the governments that will listen and proposing potential solutions and inviting them to do the right thing. And of course, we'll decide what we're gonna do next if they don't take us up on that offer. Before starting this video, I just wanna say that this is a really special moment. This is on Necoclí, where the illegal armed military groups are dominating the nesting habitat. And this is a sunrise turtle. So typically you never see sea turtles on beaches during the day because they nest at night. And this turtle was, heading back to the ocean during the early morning hours, and she actually stops. So when you're with turtles, you try and just act like a rock so they don't really see you're there. You try and minimize your disturbance of them. But if you watch this video, the turtle actually turns and looks at us and then continues. And we feel like, based on our data sets, the sea turtles have spoken. And despite the security risks that we're facing, we feel determined to speak out as well on their behalf. I'm hoping that this can be a really powerful and tangible example of the implementation of the rights of nature, either in Panama or Colombia, or both. I hope that instead of seeing the loss of this population in the upcoming decades, we see two countries working together to protect it. And now, for those listening on the live